Good morning, Year 6. Welcome to today's writing lesson. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's Kahoot quiz. I will make sure I get the results to you by the end of the week. There is another Kahoot quiz coming up later today, so you will need a phone, tablet or computer at some point during the lesson, but you can start the lesson and come back to that later on if you would like. Right, let's get started. Today's learning objective is to use varied punctuation, which means to use lots of different types of punctuation. When we use varied punctuation, it helps us express ourselves better by using different sentence types. It also helps make our writing more readable. So we're looking at list punctuation today. We'll be using some commas and we'll be using some colons, which if you remember are two dots, one above the other. So your starter task today is to punctuate this simple list using commas. Pause the video, have a read and have a go. Welcome back. As you can see, there are 3 items in this list. We've got a bulletproof cycling jersey, an extra bright lamp and a radio disguised as a bell. So our 3 expanded noun phrases need to be separated first of all by a comma between a bulletproof cycling jersey and an extra bright lamp, and then we have before the last item in a list we have the word and then we have our final item, a radio disguised as a bell. So this list is describing some features of the gadget I chose to describe for my persuasive advert. So we'll be building on this today, writing the next paragraph, and we'll be having a look at listing some of the features to try and persuade people to buy our gadget. So that was a key stage 1 sort of a list when we use commas. We are now going to be looking at how we can write a more complicated list using a colon. We've looked at this before, but it's a bit tricky, so we're going to be talking about the rules for when we use a colon to introduce a list. Now this can be useful when we want to put a bit more information into our introductory clause, and it's just a way of showing off our punctuation skills a little bit. So I want you to see if you can notice any rules for how to use a colon for a list and see if you can come up with your own steps to success. State-of-the-art bicycle accessories are available as optional extras. A bulletproof cycling jersey, an extra bright lamp and a radio disguised as a bell. Pause the video and have a think. Welcome back. Okay, so first of all, we've got our 3 items in the list again. We've got our 3 expanded noun phrases. We've got our comma to separate them as normal, comma between the first and second, then an and before the final one. So we've got a comma for a list as normal between the items. Now, the clause at the beginning makes sense on its own. Okay, that's really, really important, and that's a tricky bit that lots of people find hard when using a colon for a list. So this clause here has to make sense on its own. It could be a sentence on its own. It doesn't have the word including or such as here before the items. That job is done by the colon, which goes before the items in the list. Now our colon, our 2 dots, goes straight after this letter here, then it's followed by a space, and then we have a small letter here. We don't need a capital letter unless it's a proper noun for a name, for example. So our colon is followed by a space and a small letter. Okay, so remember, we don't want to see a word like including or such as that means this part here is not a sentence on its own. So I could read state-of-the-art bicycle accessories are available as optional extras. That would make sense on its own. It doesn't finish with including or such as before the colon introduces the list. Okay? So here are 2 sentences. I want you to have a read of them and see if you can spot the mistakes with the list punctuation. See if you can get your purple pen out or your imaginary purple pen and have a go at correcting the punctuation. Pause the video, have a read and have a think. Okay, so if we have a look at the first sentence then, the gadget has a variety of amazing features including a camouflaged cover, hidden radio and built-in GPS system. Well done if you spotted that we needed to take out the word including here, okay, so that our introductory clause makes sense on its own before the colon. So we've got features, colon, space, small a camouflage cover, comma, hidden radio, and built-in GPS system. For the second sentence, high-tech materials have been used to maximise the gadget's performance, colon. We needed to put a colon in here before we started listing the materials. A lightweight aluminium frame, comma, so that's the first item, puncture-resistant tyres. We needed to get rid of this comma here, okay? We don't need a comma before the and, okay? The and does that job of separating this object and this object. And a cushioned leather saddle. Well done if you managed to spot both of those mistakes. Okay, so now we've talked about the rules for how to use a colon to introduce a list. I'd like you to have a go at another Kahoot quiz today. Go to kahoot.it, enter the game pin, then when it says nickname, can you put your first name, surname, initial and your class, for example, Percy J, 6B, to play the quiz and see if you can practice using a colon to introduce a list. If you manage to get onto the top 10 on my leaderboard, I will give you some dojo points. The quiz will be live until 10 AM on Friday the 2nd of January, so get Kahooting. Okay, now you've had a practice and you are now colon experts. I want you to have a go at practicing how you might use this for your writing today. So, can you complete these sentences for your spy gadget? So whatever spy gadget you chose to describe in yesterday's lesson, or you could just think of one now if you haven't done that so far, and practice using a colon for a list. Number 1, the gadget has a variety of amazing features. So you can list some features of your gadget that make it sound great. Remember, we're trying to persuade people to buy it. Number 2, high-tech materials have been used to maximise the gadget's performance. Okay, so you could list some high-tech materials that it's being made out of. You could make some up, or you could Google some fancy materials to make up your fancy gadget. Number 3, state-of-the-art accessories are available as optional extras. And then you could list some accessories that could go with your gadget. Maybe if that one doesn't fit very well for your gadget, you could make up your own sentence where you could list something after your colon. So have a go, write that down, and come back when you've had a try. Welcome back. Okay, that will be useful for your writing, so keep hold of those. So today your task will be to write the next paragraph of your advert. So we are describing our gadget in some detail that's going to make it sound amazing and persuade the buyer that they have to buy your spy gadget. Okay, so we're going to be listing lots of details about it. The best features, not all of them. Okay, we're going to be writing a couple of lists, but Chili 1 will be using commas for a list. Chili 2, having a go at using a colon to introduce a list with commas. Chili 2, I'd like you to include a range of other punctuation. We've been practicing hyphens recently. You could put in a semicolon maybe, or some punctuation for parentheses like brackets or dashes. Okay, this isn't a really formal piece of writing, so dashes will be fine. Okay, so varied punctuation is what we're aiming for today, but don't forget to be persuasive. Let's have a look at the waggle that we had to look at the other day quickly for this paragraph to give us some ideas of what to include. So we can see it starts with a conjunctive adverb. It's adding on some details, persuading someone that it's amazing. Furthermore, it boasts a host of amazing features. And then we've got a list of features here using a colon to introduce protection from hacking, untraceable technology and worldwide access. High specification materials have been used to maximise its capabilities. Another list here. A lightweight titanium steel body, a state-of-the-art plastic case and a range of optional extras. Again, a colon for a list used there. In addition, remember we can join our ideas together using conjunctive adverbs to add ideas. This must-have mobile phone has the new and improved feature of a hidden tranquilizer dart that can be fired through the aerial. It's guaranteed to leave your enemies stunned, yet with no serious after effects. Okay, and don't forget to put in that persuasive language, things like must-have, or new and improved, or it's guaranteed. Okay, making sure we're using that kind of over-the-top exaggeration in our description. I'm going to be writing about my sleuth bike, so I want to start by talking about the features that make it amazing for a spy. It can get away from enemies chasing my spy with its hidden devices. So the world-beating, that's hyphenated, sleuth bike, capital letter for a proper noun. The world-beating sleuth bike has a variety of built-in devices to deter pursuit. Here's my list, so I'm using my colon. A smoke-emitting bike pump, comma, a secret oil slick dispenser, and, before my final thing, and a hidden marble release system. Full stop. So that's my first list using a colon and some commas. Of course, comma, because that's a fronted adverbial, high-tech materials have been used to enhance the bike's performance. That means made better. Colon, and then a space after my colon, followed by a small letter. A lightweight, comma, aluminium, because I'm listing two adjectives here, frame, that's my first noun phrase, comma, puncture-resistant tyres, that's my second thing in my list, and a cushioned leather saddle. So I'm putting in lots of description of my features, full stop. Additionally, because I want to add on another sentence now, fronted adverbial comma needed, state-of-the-art bike accessories are available as optional extras. Colon to introduce my list to describe some extras. I've already written this sentence in my practice, so I can reuse it here. A bulletproof cycling jersey, comma, an extra bright lamp, or a radio disguised as a bell, full stop. I decided to use or here rather than and. That's fine for the last thing in my list if it makes more sense. You're, using an apostrophe for contraction here, for you're guaranteed, using some persuasive language there, to be the fastest spy in town, exclamation mark. Of course, once you've finished your paragraph, you need to go back and check it, read it, make sure you haven't missed any words out, check you've got capital letters and full stops where you need them, and then you can green the punctuation that you have used and see what chili you've achieved, and you can pink anything you think you might need to check, whether it's punctuation or spellings or whatever you think you might need to add in. I've highlighted my chili 1 commas for lists first of all. Then I've highlighted my chili 2 colons for lists. And then I've highlighted the hyphens and exclamation mark I've used for chili 3. Finally, I've highlighted a couple of spellings I might need to check. Don't email your gadget adverts to us yet. Keep hold of those for tomorrow. We're going to finish it off in tomorrow's lesson. Thanks for joining me today, and I will speak to you again tomorrow.